What's up, YouTube? It's your boy RushMoreRick, and today we are reacting to, does money equal happiness? Now, before we get into the video, I would like to preface this by saying I believe money does equal happiness, but not money within itself. It's just what money is, like what you're able to do if you have money. You don't have to worry about struggling. You can take care of yourself. You can take care of your family. You can take care of your friends. You have the ability to pay for experiences whenever you have the ability to pay for experiences. You don't got to wait until payday to enjoy yourself. You don't got to wait until payday to make sure that your bills is taken care of. You don't gotta budget. If you have access to money, you don't have to worry about living check to check, which a lot of people are doing in today's society. But let's tap into the video.
Does money equal happiness? A very surface level philosophical question, but when you actually go into it, gets a lot deeper and brings up a lot of other topics. Something that a lot of people talk about all the time, and a lot of people have varying answers. A lot of people say that money does equal happiness. A lot of people say that it's more of a neutral point, and some say that it actually makes you unhappy. My point of view would be that money does not inherently make you happy, but it removes a lot of the burdens of your individual life that can make you unhappy, having to worry about bills or not being able to get food or rent for the month.
Exactly.
It helps you not have to worry about those things and enables you to divert your own attention to a lot of the other problems that you may be having in your individual life. The problem with money and happiness is that the majority of people that have a lot of money aren't using it for good needs and aren't using it for its intended use. Money's original historical purpose is to replace the idea of trade. Having to trade wheat for fish and fish for alcohol gets really convoluted because you're trying to figure out the value of a given resource based on labor time and how rare that commodity may be, rather than having a universal functioning material that you can attribute value to given items for, that when you sell or trade or buy them, you lose some of that individual thing, something outside of that looped circular trade system, which is money. The problem is that people don't use money for that intended use anymore. They get money for material gain and power. They no longer want money to buy individual things that aid their survival. They want money for the sake of money. Paraphrasing Plato, one of the most known and oldest philosophers as well, he basically says that society uses money as a means to function. It is a tool for trade, and that's its intended purpose. Where things get bad is when people seek money for the sake of seeking it, which was a problem when money first arose and is a much worse problem now. If you're pursuing money in modern times for the sake of affording rent or buying goods like food or water, or paying your electricity bill, or even something, like going on a vacation, traveling the world, or buying a car as a functional purpose, that's not bad. But there are a select group of people across, different wealth margins that pursue money for the sake of getting more of it. So they're able to flex that.
I never understood that. I see what he's saying, though, but there are people who want money just for the sake of wanting money. Like, I feel like a lot of millionaires and billionaires and trillionaires who are racking up dollars, but they don't have any intent behind racking up dollars, if that makes sense. And granted, who am I to say, all right, you made $1 million, why do you want $1 billion? You made $1 billion, why you want $1 trillion? I have no right to judge them, but at the same time, I believe those are the people who find themselves unhappy with endless amounts of money, because they don't have a purpose for the money. They just they work themselves so hard, or they build up these businesses to create enormous amounts of revenue, but at the same time they don't have a plan for it. They just want it because society is pushing this thing where everybody should want money. Everybody should want to be a millionaire. Everybody should want to be a billionaire. Granted, it'd be nice if everybody was millionaires and billionaires and we all didn't have to bust our ass to work check to check. We all had money to just live freely. It would be fucking fantastic. But that's not the reality. The reality is there are people out here who are making absurd amounts of money, but yet they find themselves with the same amount of happiness as the nigga who's punching the clock and working a 9 to 5. It's weird. I don't know why, but it is just like a weird thing.
Money on other people and flaunt their wealth for their own personal enjoyment. They like and feel happiness from having a lot of money. And while those people are happy because they have money, they ruin the rest of the system for everyone else. The people that pursue money for the sake of having money and just also buying absurdly expensive things to flex how much money they do have, whether or not they're spending it or using it, they're still having that money for the same intended purpose. They ruin society because they're using money as a means for power, not a means for trade. And while money is something that is, giving you purchasing power, it's for the use of trade, not for the use of showing that you have a lot of it.
But I feel like what he's touching on the roots of money, or the roots of currency. Yes, the roots of currency are, I have this, you have that, I want that, you want this, let's trade. It's become a little bit more easier as opposed to back then, where, like you said, you're doing material for material, but money is taking over that spot. I feel like it still works the same way. I want a $500,000 car. You have 500,000. Give me the money. You get the car. It still works the same way. So he's kind of confusing me when he's saying people are messing up essentially the system of how money is supposed to work, or how it's supposed to work in our society.
While money does give you power, and the more power you have, the more free you are, one individual uses money as a means for power for their own personal freedom, and the other uses it as a means of freedom to exercise that power over other people. Money inherently creates imbalances because money is a resource, and a resource that we require as a group to have society function. While money itself actually has no value, we attribute value to it, which makes it powerful and gives those who have it power. The difference is some societies historically and even now use that money better and have different systems in place to enable those people to not be able to manipulate that system. Places with lower income inequality have a higher happiness rating statistically than countries that have a higher income inequality. Places where there are a lot of rich people and a lot of poor people, and that gap is higher than other countries where it's more close, tend to be unhappier countries. Now it's time to talk about Karl Marx.
But it makes sense, because when the gap between upper class and in the lower class is that big, majority of the population is going to belong to the lower class. So you have more poor people seeing these upper class people, seeing these rich people, seeing these millionaires, billionaires fuck off and just be able to do and live their life with 100% flexibility and not have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, worried about putting money away, worried about, am I saving enough for my 401k so I can retire and actually do something with my life. You have more poor people seeing other people enjoy their life. And I don't know about you, but it don't piss me off, but it's like, damn, I wish I was in that situation. It would be nice. It would be nice to be in that situation. It'd be nice to live life and not feel like I'm surviving. It would be nice to do the things that I genuinely want to do at the age that I'm at now, and not have to work and then retire and then try to do the same things that I wanted to do at my retirement age when I wanted to do when I was 25. It's fucked up. That's why I feel like the unhappiness is there. That's why it exists.
And this is probably going to upset a lot of people. If you don't know Karl Marx, he created a book about Marxism, which nowadays is usually attributed to communism, but the actual roots of the two are, quite different. And also Karl Marx was from Germany, and a lot of people attribute him to Russian communism. It's a whole thing. I'm going to talk about Karl Marx. I disagree with a lot of the points he has, but keep that in mind that some of the things he says are valid It's just the way that he attributes them can be, usually attributed to a communist mentality. But I wanted to say that before I get into this because I know people are going to go, oh, Karl Marx. Karl Marx basically says that money hides the value of what it actually represents, which is labor time, which kind of ruins the whole system. He basically believes that the amount of money or purchasing power you should achieve from a given thing should immediately correlate to the amount of time you put into that. Now,
So is that why they coined the phrase "time is money"? Because if that's the case, then I don't necessarily disagree with that. If you have money, that means you have all the time in the world. If you have money, that means somebody who doesn't have money, you can potentially own their time as well. It's how our society literally runs. You come work for me, I pay you while you're working for me. That's literally the 9 to 5. But let's hear him explain it a little more because I don't know what angle he's gonna take.
Now, he goes very in depth on this. There's whole systems and problems that he kind of, puts forth, and he actually does like some mathematical shit. It's a pain in the ass to read his stuff. I'm not going to lie. I didn't really enjoy it when I read it in college. I haven't read Karl Marx in about 3 years, so I might get a lot of this wrong. My apologies on that. But the thing that Karl Marx tends to not factor in a lot of the time is specialized labor. What I mean by that is money is valued by labor time in a lot of ways. How much you work is attributed to how much you should get paid. The difference, though, is how hard that job may be. How skillful you may need to be to have that job will change the amount of money that you should get. I think many people would agree that a doctor working 8 hours should probably make more than somebody working at a cash register at a store.
Which is true, but I don't think it changes the concept of what he's trying to say, where said money equals or should equal the amount of time that you have or the amount of time that you're able to purchase. It's still the same concept. Time is money. As long as you have the money, you're able to get someone's time. If you don't have the money, you don't have the time. You don't have the resources.
Because the requirements and the amount of skill that you need to obtain to have one job comparable to the latter is a lot higher. It's not easy to hold that position of being a doctor comparable to being somebody that works a low requirement minimum wage job. While the one person may be actually working more hours than the other person's job is more skilled and therefore more valued. I also want to say he gets a lot more in depth than that. I very much simplified what he says. It's not like that. There's a fucking big ass book you could read, okay, of what he talks about going in on one individual specific topic. That is me heavily summarizing what he's saying. But a thing that I will agree with what he says is that the value of an individual worker and the productiveness of that worker in a capitalistic society where you are working to get money is snuffed out. Because if you are, say, a minimum wage worker and you're more productive than those around you, yes, you may get a raise. Yes, you may get a promotion. But the majority of the time, the productive worker isn't actually rewarded by any means. That surplus of value is just passed down to the individual higher up. So that's why a lot of minimum wage workers just fuck around at work because they know and recognize, like a lot of you guys that work minimum wage jobs, if you put in more effort, you're not going to get a better reward. So the system itself hinders your productiveness because you're not actually rewarded for being a productive member of
That's true.
society. You just have to do the bare minimum because anything above that, you're still receiving the bare minimum in return. He also says that money transcends the actual good itself. I'm reading my notes here. He basically says that a good or an item is something that people look to achieve, and that's how trade started. You had money as a means to achieve a specific good. I have money because I want to achieve, fucking blueberries or whatever I'm specifically searching for, or a car. But now people have money.
I wouldn't say achieve, but you want to obtain. Your ability to obtain increases drastically when you have money.
money as its own good and asset to achieve. Instead of going, I need to work to be able to afford this, people want to work to be able to just get money. No intended purpose from it, just the actual goal of achieving money in itself, which I talked about earlier.
And it's crazy because I'm following him, and he is right. But it's weird because people who aren't rich, or people who aren't in the upper class or barely middle class, people are in the lower class, they do work with the purpose of a goal. We're stuck in a mindset where we're working with the purpose to stay up on our bills. We're stay up, whether it's our rent, our cars, our insurance, whether like you have kids or you pay for school, etc. You have people who are in the lower class. We work with a goal in mind. That's what keeps us in that 9 to 5. Like, you want to stay with a job because you want to be able to keep the things that you've bought, keep the things that, you know what I'm saying, that define your living circumstance. Now, when you're in you're the upper class and you're rich and you got millions, you got billions, you're just working for the sake of working. You're working for the sake of abundance. You're working for the sake of, I made this much money, but I know I can make more. And yes, you've bought the occasional house, the occasional car, the occasional watch, jewelry, whatever along the way, but like, it's not really a goal. That's just like a byproduct of you chasing money. It's crazy.
Earlier, he basically says the people that have the market production, the people that are at the top, that are able to call shots, are the ones that control the actual production of goods rather than the worker themselves. And that's bad because it doesn't enable those that are at the bottom to move up within a society, because everything that they do that sets them apart from those that are, less valued doesn't matter, because they're just going to be stuck there forever. The biggest problem that I've been waiting to talk about, and sorry for, getting super off topic. I know the title of the video is Does Money Equal Happiness? But that's just kind of a fucking 2-minute conversation.
It's cool, bro. We rocking with you. You know what I'm saying? You can't just jump in. You got to educate niggas first. I fuck with this guy. He's educating people.
Conversation. I kind of just wanted to use that as a segue to rant about money. But the biggest problem with money in society, and it's something that all of us are going to fall into at some point, especially as you age and you're able to save money, is the idea of money manipulation. It's one of the worst things that we have that ruins the idea of money in a society in general. What I mean by that is money manipulation, aka stock investments, bonds, fucking treasury bills or treasury bonds, being able to buy and hold crypto. You're investing, you're using money to make money. Instead, it defeats the entire purpose of having money itself. When we were in an early society and you traded goods, as I was talking about, where you have one item and you're trying to derive, 20 wheat equals one fish, and then 10 wheat equals an apple, things get really complicated. So you have money that attributes value to each item, and you're able to use those to purchase other things. And the idea is that you work, you create a product, you sell that product for money, use that money to buy things that you need for yourself so you can have specialized labor and don't have to, learn how to do everything yourself, and use that money to reinvest into your own product. But when people get into higher valued economies, and, I don't want to say capitalistic economies, but a lot of the time it's every economy in general. When you have really high wealth individuals, instead of using their money to invest in something that is going to give them a return where they're able to output more value for a product, they instead use money to make money by basically investing, holding, and then receiving a return on that investment. Instead of actually putting that money into a given market and being able to, flourish an economy or help produce something, they're just holding a percentage of an individual company or coin and waiting for that to go up and pulling it. Now, you could say those investments enable that company to be more productive and, make more products and help the society even more. But that's, its own side argument. My point is that people use money to make money rather than actually putting that money back into the system. Back to what I was originally saying, money is needed. We as a society function in specialized labor, regardless of whether or not you have a college degree or you went to trade school. You're usually having a job for something that you're particularly good at, unless it is a minimum wage job. And even then, you might get really good at it and work your way up in that ladder. And you receive money from that job, and it enables you to purchase things that you don't know how to do or don't need to do. You live in a society where you're able to work a 9 to 5 and then buy food so you don't have to go hunt or farm yourself, and pay for electricity so you don't have to fucking go figure out how to do that yourself, or fix your toilet or do any of those things. So money is a needed asset in the economy. It's how we use it that fucks everything up. Not how we use it, how a lot of people use it. I don't want to get into billionaires, but billionaires are in their own class, okay? They're pure money market manipulation individuals. A lot of them do create products, but now they live outside of the businesses that they even own. They don't really function as a citizen in their own country. They're their own country in themselves. Most billionaires are in this weird global elite system where they're able to function in their own, tight-knit group rather than living in an actual society. Previously, billionaires in, like the 1920s, 1910s, were still members of their society. While they were, still money hungry and, hoarding their own, assets, they still did reinvest that a lot of the time into the individual city or state that they live in. A lot of the time now, billionaires compete to gain more money than the other.
I wonder where it started, like the human greed, because what he's saying is 100% true, where you have these millionaires and billionaires who don't play by the same rules as the everyday working citizen. This country was built on the backs of the everyday working citizen, but we don't reap the benefits. Just the people who make the right investments, the people who invested in the right coin, the people who bought the right crypto and shit like that. Those people are the people who get to live like a fruitful life here anyway. And it's just, I wonder where the greed started, and I wonder where it ends, because there are people who are happy. They're millionaires. They're able to do whatever the fuck they want at any point of the day. But there are people who are genuinely deep down inside unhappy, and they have millions and they have billions, but it's like nothing satisfies you. You would think that if you make $1 million, you're satisfied. You're okay. You can use that money to put it into something that doesn't always benefit you. It benefits the next man. We're missing that. Where our wealthy people are just wealthy for the fucking sake of being wealthy. They're not wealthy. Like, what happened to the people who I got money, let me attempt to end world hunger? Do people just don't give a fuck about world hunger? Do people are making money, but they're not using the money to make the places better. They're not bettering anything. They're bettering their pockets. They're using the money that they make to make more money, to make more money, to make more money. For what purpose? For what goal?
And only interact with each other. Back to what I was saying about money equaling happiness. I think that money equaling happiness is true if you have money for the purpose of using it to give yourself experience. If you get obsessed with the goal of making money and you have money for the sake of holding money, that money will not breed happiness. Having money does not equal happiness. It's the use of the money that you have that enables you to be happy.
I disagree. I believe money does equal happiness. Now, it varies on the person, but more times than not, if you're a person with money, you're happy because you don't have worries. You don't have things that are pressuring you to perform. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can wake up at any point of the day. That would make me my most happiest. I always have this thing. I don't want to be rich. I just want to be comfortable. I want to be able to wake up when I want to and not feel like, oh damn, if I sleep too long, I might miss work. If I don't make it to work on time, I might get fired. I want to be able to live comfortably. And if you have money, you're able to live comfortably. You can live with no worries. That's the ultimate goal for most people, to live without worries, to live knowing that their bills are paid, food is on the table, their you know what I'm saying, their electricity is not going to get cut off, their car is not going to get towed. You know what I'm saying? When you have money, there's a lot of things that you don't even think about. It was this video that I seen on TikTok about this guy when he said when he first started making his 6 figures, he changed because he didn't have to worry about how much gas he put in his car. He didn't have to worry about checking the price tags on the food that he was getting when he's grocery shopping. It's a lot that changes mentally for you, and life becomes easier when you have money. And I can attribute that to happiness because like you don't have nothing to be worried about when you have money, when you have finances, when you're set. You don't have anything to worry about. You don't have anything to complain about. And I feel like if you do, you have money for the wrong reasons. You have money for the wrong reasons.
Or not. Obviously, having money does not obviously solve all of the problems that you have, and you still may go through a lot of things even if you spend your money correctly. But the point is that a lot of rich people are very unhappy because they don't use their money in the correct way. They use their money for the sole purpose of making more of it and being better than those around them in a, materialistic world, and they're just going to die fucking 30, 40 years from now, and it was all meaningless in the end.
Exactly. You have all that money, and what have you did with it? Yeah, granted, you could pass it on to your generations, but it's like even your future generations to say, granddad had all this, granddad or grandmom had all this money. What did they do? What did they leave behind? I mean, they left you money. What you gonna do with it? Shit, the same thing that they did, and it's just an endless cycle of hoarding money as opposed to spreading the wealth. We need more people to spread the wealth, and that don't mean just give your money away or give your money out. You know what I'm saying? But attribute that money to something positive society. You know what I'm saying? Make a new school. Make more businesses, make more jobs, make more, like, be productive in society. Like, that's how society's supposed to work. You know what I'm saying? You spend all this time making money and you have no plan to do anything with the money, and then that's why you just sitting there with loads of money and you still empty in here because you haven't did anything meaningful with the money.
If you ever stumble upon a large amount of money, my advice would be use it to experience life. Don't go blow it on a million fucking sports cars and expensive things and expensive houses. While obviously you do need a house and a car to live, especially in the United States a lot of the time, it is not something that is going to give you everlasting, or even a lasting experience. Yes, the car is cool, but it's cooler to go travel the world, see things, meet new people, because those are the experiences and the things that are going to make life enjoyable and actually make you happy. That's all. I don't even know. This video was all over the place. My bad for that. I keep
Nah, you good, bro. You ain't even got to apologize. This is a W video. I fuck with this. Like, I'm saying you can watch some troll shit from time to time, but at the same time, you want to watch something that, that makes you think. And that's what we going to do here on this channel. We watch shit that makes us think, not just entertaining shit. But make sure y'all like, comment, and sub. That was the video. Does money make you happy? Would you be happy if you had $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion, or would you be content with the life that you have now and you don't have the millions? Let me know. It's your boy RushMoreRick, and we out. Peace.